This is Talk About Topeka on Gab Local TV and TV 25. This episode brought to you by Field of Greens and The Break Room. And here's your host, Chris Schultz.
Well, we're continuing our talks on downtown Topeka with our friends from the Topeka Capital-Journal. We have Susan Cantrell, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing, and we have Morgan Chilson, the business editor from the paper. How are you ladies doing today?
Great, thanks.
We're very excited to have you here in the studio. We're really super duper excited to see how this spread's going to look in the paper. So tell us a little bit about, Susan, how did this whole thing come about here?
Well, actually it started with just a conversation with Vince Fry, Downtown Inc. Head, and him and I were having coffee, and he was filling me in on all the development because I started at the Capital-Journal in January. Mm-hmm. So he was telling me everything that was going on in downtown and all the development that had happened and how long it had taken him to do it and pull things together and how many people were committed to it. And I said, you know, that would be great, you know, and I said, how has the Capital-Journal been covering it? And he goes, oh, they've been doing a great job, but it's a story here, it's a story there, and you know, there really hasn't been one definitive piece. And I said, what if we worked on a joint project that really kind of detailed all of the things that have transpired in the last couple of years and what's coming up for the near future. Mm-hmm. And it really evolved from that conversation. We started talking about it, and he sent out a letter to a lot of the founders and sponsors that had committed to investing in downtown, and people just started responding like crazy. I mean, it really started out as a small section. It was going to be an 8-page section that really talked about what was coming up this year and a lot of the pocket parks and a little bit of history, and that was going to be it. And pretty much every business owner I talked to and every person said we're in from day one. Awesome. And it was one of those rare projects where people just got excited the minute they found out we were doing something on downtown. I guess it had just come to, you know, a head in terms of how long it had taken to get to this point, and everyone really felt like this was the taking off point. And they really wanted to tell their tale and how they had invested in town. And I guess the surprise for me was how many people it was, not even just located in downtown. It was really all over the community that had some stake in downtown and the redevelopment of it.
And so much the mentality has changed in Topeka of what's happened in downtown. You know, as I'm sure, Morgan, as you've been kind of putting the content together for this whole thing, this has been, have you noticed that the mentality of downtown's evolved, and there's all of this information about downtown. This is our history here, really, right?
Right. It's definitely the place, one of the things that they talk about with this, there's a trend nationwide to revitalize downtowns, and that's because they are the unique spot in so many cities. They're the ones that really show your personality and who you are as a city. So I have definitely seen an attitude change. I was actually at the Capital-Journal many years ago, and I keep telling the same story, but when I left, I had just done a section about why nothing is happening downtown. And then I come back 16 years later, and there's this phenomenal, all these phenomenal things happening downtown, and this opportunity to show them in a spread of this size.
And now you get to show off the renaissance that's been happening down
Yes.
here. What's it been like to put all of that information together, and what can we expect to see in this feature?
Well, after I quit crying about the jump from 8 pages to 44, and I got back up off the floor, we ended up holding stories that I couldn't fit in because honestly, people were so excited to tell their story and talk about what was going on and trying to look at all the different aspects. One of the key components to revitalizing downtowns, for instance, is residential development, so that you have that core group of people who live, play, work, are down there a lot. And we are seeing a lot of that development downtown in the lofts and some of the loft projects. So I talked to people in that regard. We have almost every building downtown has been sold. So I talked to quite a few developers about what they're planning on putting in there. And we're still kind of at that stage where, okay, they're sold and they're being renovated, but we aren't quite sure yet what's going in. So those are the fun things that we'll see down the road.
I love it because so many people have said over the time, well, there's still nothing, no businesses are down. It's like, you have no idea yet. These buildings have sold. Like, there's a lot of movement happening. There's a lot of things happening. You know, seeing that the Harry Colmery Park that just was just christened, we'll say, down here, and seeing all the things that are happening. There are so many more of those things that are happening, and I'm sure you've discovered that we're just right on the tip of the iceberg here. I mean, this is huge. It's going to be great for downtown.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this section it's going to be in the Sunday paper.
Yes.
So the 26th is what you'll look for the paper there, and then it's going to be online as well, so people can check it out if they go to CJ Online. What do they see there?
It is going to be on the homepage of CJ Online, and part of it is to make sure that the people that only go to our website and don't get our printed paper could see all of the great content and the sponsors that supported it. But an important extra element of it too is we have a digital campaign that is actually going to the surrounding communities. So when people want to visit here and go to the Kansas concert, or they want to come to the jazz festival, or they want to just get away and go somewhere else and eat for the weekend from Manhattan or Lawrence or Emporia or some of the smaller towns around us, they'll know what's been going on in downtown, and they'll know that there's a lot more. If they haven't visited in a couple of years, they should come down and check it out. And so that was also part of the purpose, is really trying to hit that surrounding area with this message too.
Absolutely, and as people visit our downtown area and they see that the beautiful Capitol building down here, now it's surrounded by such a wonderful work. Our history of this community surrounds it, and you guys have done a fantastic job putting this together. I know how much work this has been from point A to point Z here, and thank you for doing that. I don't know if people actually say thanks for doing all this work, but thanks for doing all this work. We really do appreciate it.
Well, Morgan did most of the work, but it has been a really fun project to work on because people are so excited about it.
It's going to be something people definitely put in their cedar chests and hang on to for a while. This is our history here in downtown. Thank you so much, Morgan and Susan from the Capital-Journal, for joining us to tell us all about it today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.